Believe it or not, I've got these overalls as well as my bandana more than 10 years ago, and I finally get to use it. My M5 has some parts that I want to get painted, so I'm going to begin this experience painting these particular parts. Before I get started, I had to remove all the plastic dip that was on my side diffusers as well as my rear diffusers, so there was quite a bit of work that went into it right before I could get started. For a while, I've been aspiring to acquire the skill of painting. So many years ago, I've actually bought all the tools and materials that I need to get started, but I've been pushing it back because I was kind of nervous about the whole process. Now I'm finally ready to start shooting, and I have just the right amount of parts on my M5, and I want to use that as a base for learning how to paint. These are the materials that I need to begin the project. Aside from just having the paint, I needed, of course, the reducer, the clear, the hardener, and all this was from PPG. This is my paint gun setup. I bought these from Harbor Freight, and I've been recommended to start off with these guns because they're relatively cheap and fairly dependable. So it's a good starter gun, and my setup was I had the water filter in the bottom just to collect the moisture, and then I got the pressure regulator right above it just so I could maintain the pressure, and then I had the gun attached to it, so it was pretty basic setup. One of the critical things about painting is maintaining pressure. So on the right I have the tank pressure, which is rated up to 150 psi, but on the left, the regulator, I set it to 50 psi because I'll be actually shooting around 25 to 30 psi. So I wanted to always keep the pressure going while I'm shooting, so I set it at 50. Here's my measuring cups for clear and paint. The marks here are actually a lot less than I anticipated, so I had to mix a little bit more paint before I started the project. I don't have a painting booth or any painting racks, so when I set this up, I had to be a little bit strategic and creative, and it actually worked out really well. I made sure that the floor was always wet and continued to keep it wet while I was shooting, and that really helped out a lot on reducing the amount of dust. Let's see how this goes. This is the results of the first coat, and I was pleased that the pressure maintained and I was able to shoot the first coat evenly. I shot a few more coats to strengthen the base, and then I allowed about 45 minutes for the paint to cure, and then I started my clear coat. After the paint dried, I was pleased to know that it came out pretty well for my first time. I know there's some orange peel there, so I knew I had to buff it out a little bit so that I can kind of smoothen out the lines and clean it up before I install it on my car. Last month I put my stocks back on because my tires were getting worn out. I didn't waste any time, so I got a new replacement set, and now I brought it to the tire shop to get them replaced. I'm back from the tire shop now, and I'm just spent some time cleaning my wheels. The rims were dirty from all the grease, as well as all the dust buildup from being stored in my garage. And so I just cleaned it up and took out some of the water spots from normal wear and tear. And so now it's all set to go, and I can install it on my 911 now. Here's my wheels, they're all cleaned up. I was able to polish them, and they're ready to go back on my 911. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.